So instead of talking about the halftime show, instead of talking about this is going to be the worst Super Bowl ever, why couldn't we talk about the fact that the Seattle Seahawks built one of the most complete teams that we've seen over the past few years here? Because I'm going to be honest with you guys, kind of annoyed at how we talked about this game. Going into this week, I feel like we talked about things other than the actual game that's being played. We talked about narratives when it came to, do these two teams deserve to be in the Super Bowl? Or this is one of the worst Super Bowls that we've seen. Instead of like actually giving appreciation to two teams that made it through the playoffs. And like, look, it's not like the Seahawks had an easy run to get to the Super Bowl. Like, yeah, they beat a 49ers team that was really banged up, but they played a Los Angeles Rams team that was really damn good. And then they played the Patriots, and they did what they were supposed to do. Like, the Seahawks are worthy Super Bowl champions. They dominated the 49ers. They dominated the Patriots, two teams that they were clearly better than. And the team that matched them in talent, they were able to get a good win over that team. So to me, they're worthy Super Bowl champions. They were 14-3 on the year. This is one of the most well-built rosters that we've seen over the past couple years on both offense and defense. They're one of the most well-coached teams in the NFL, if not the most well-coached team in the NFL. There is a reason why this team won a Super Bowl, and they are deserving champions. And they are champions that you could pick teams from separate years. And I would say, like, if you were to rank this team over the last 10 years when it comes to Super Bowl champions, they would be in the top 6 easy. So this is not a team that just won because it was a down year in the NFL. This is a team that won because they were just a really damn good football team. And they won a really difficult division. They play in a division where there are some teams in that division. Obviously, you have the LA Rams, who, by the way, they beat 2 times in a row going down the stretch. They won that game in Seattle, the overtime game. That was fantastic. And then they won the game 2 weeks ago, right? So the Rams were a really good team. They beat them twice. Seahawks are worthy Super Bowl champions. And to get into this game, like, let's just be honest here. The reason why they won this game is because their defense was outstanding. They were suffocating. They were getting to Drake May all night, and they ran the ball effectively. Kenneth Walker was fantastic in this game. 135 yards on the ground, 26 yards over the air. So that's a total of 161 all-purpose yards. He deserved to win Super Bowl MVP. He was fantastic. He was a big reason why the Seahawks were moving the ball. And what I liked about what the Seahawks did yesterday is that they were patient. They knew what they had on the defensive side of the ball. They knew the mismatch that they had when it came to the Seahawks defense and the Patriots offense. It's a mismatch. The Seahawks defense is clearly more talented than the Patriots offense. I think the Seahawks defense is a more well-coordinated defense than the Patriots offense. And they knew that. And they built their offensive game plan around the fact that they knew they had a clear advantage on that side of the ball. Not asking Sam Darnold to put the ball in harm's way, getting off the field if things didn't look right, and just letting their defense go out there and make a stop. And that's what they did constantly throughout the course of this game. So they're worthy Super Bowl champions. This is a team that I said, when I saw, I forget what game it was where I was just like, ooh, this team's going to be a real problem. I think it was after a Thursday night game that they played. I said, guys, we need to pay attention to Seattle. And I think I was really early on Seattle. Like, when I saw it, I was like, guys, this team's going to be dangerous. And not just for this year, for years to come. Like, this is a team, like, I'm not going to predict that they're going to repeat, but they can repeat. Like, who are the big names that they're losing from this team? They have a bunch of cap space. They have young players on this team. They have young players that are really, really good. They draft well. I don't know. Like, why can't this team be at the top of the NFC again next season? But that, we'll talk about that when we get there, because I don't want to take away from the accomplishment that they had this year. This is a team that, you know, throughout the course of the season, they were consistently the most dominant team in the NFL. And you have to give Sam Darnold his credit. You know, we'll get into Sam Darnold after this about whether he's a top 10 quarterback, whether he's not. One thing you have to say is that he is clearly a very good starting quarterback in the NFL, and there's nobody that can take that away from him. The whole Sam Darnold is, I think Skip Bayless called him, all that when Sam Darnold gets into a big spot, he's going to choke. All that stuff to me, like I was like, okay, what evidence do you have to say that Sam Darnold is going to choke in the big spots? What makes you say that? Because when I looked at Sam Darnold, when people say like, oh, he's going to find a way to choke it away, he's going to find a way to, not be able to get it done when it needs to get done. What evidence did they have that was the case? What, a loss to the Los Angeles Rams in the wild card round last year? Seriously? Like, I feel like people are so quick to attach that to quarterbacks. Like, hey, they can't get it done. Like, you can't trust this quarterback. You can't trust that quarterback. But to kind of put a bow on this game, I talked about earlier, I was very upset with how people talked about this game because I don't think they were giving the teams in the game the proper amount of respect. And did the Patriots, did they have an easy path to the Super Bowl? Yes, but they still went out there and won those games. Still went out there on the road and beat a Denver Broncos team on the road in inclement weather. They beat the Texans that we looked at them and we said, like, oh, that's going to be a really tough team to beat. The Chargers, defensively, they absolutely dominated the Chargers. So, to me, both of these teams deserve to be here. Okay? Like, the whole narratives of this is going to be the worst Super Bowl ever, whatever. Like, that's so disrespectful to the two teams that are in there. And then we're talking about other things other than the game that's being played on the field. We're talking about the halftime show. I'm going to be 100% honest with you to talk about the halftime show for a second. I don't care about the halftime show. It doesn't matter who is performing at the halftime show. When we're talking about if TMZ or these other outlets want to talk about the halftime show because they're not sports outlets, cool. I'm not going to talk about it though. Whatever the NFL decided to do with their halftime show, they decided to do. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Me personally, I don't listen to Bad Bunny's music. It's fine. It's all good. I understand why people listen to it. Like if I were to listen to the type of music that Bad Bunny produces, I would probably really like it. He probably put on a fantastic show. It's not for me, and that's okay. I understand why the NFL did it. The NFL did it because they're trying to get eyes from different markets. They're trying to expand the game. So as somebody who covers football, somebody who, by the way, I cover the Dallas Cowboys, Bad Bunny, he's going to attract a lot of Mexican football fans. Do you think they're going to like the Minnesota Vikings? No, they're going to like the Dallas Cowboys. So, like, for me, from a business perspective, I look at that and I say, oh, that's great. But at the same time, to me, we made it about something that it didn't need to be about, which was, the halftime show. We're making it about, this is going to be one of the worst Super Bowls ever. Instead of looking at the talent that is on the field, looking at the fact that the Seattle Seahawks made so many right decisions to be here, that to me, I think it's so annoying that wasn't a topic of conversation. It was so annoying to me that we can't look at the fact that they moved on from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold, a risky move because Geno Smith was a good quarterback for them. And they said, you want to know what? We're good. We're going to trade Geno Smith and we're going to sign Sam Darnold. That was a risky move that worked out for them. They traded Russell Wilson a few years ago. Risky move. And they used those draft picks to get players on this team that were going to help them out. Risky move. It worked out for them. So instead of talking about the halftime show, instead of talking about this is going to be the worst Super Bowl ever, why couldn't we talk about the fact that the Seattle Seahawks built one of the most complete teams that we've seen over the past few years here? Why can't we talk about the fact that they have consistently knocked pick after pick after pick out of the park? Why can't we talk about the fact that they made an absolute home run hire 2 years ago with hiring Mike McDonald? Why isn't that the conversation? Why isn't the game the conversation? Why are other things the conversation? That to me just drove me up a freaking wall. Over the past few years, the Seahawks made decisions like I said, moving on from Sam Darnold for Geno Smith, drafting Devin Witherspoon, drafting Jackson Smith and Jigba, drafting Nick Emmanwori, drafting Byron Murphy, drafting Gray Zabel, signing Cooper Kupp, trading for Rashid Shaheed. Things that actually matter for football. Why wasn't the conversation celebrating a team like that and celebrating the fact that the New England Patriots last year were one of the worst teams in the NFL over the past 2 years? 2024, they had the 3rd overall pick. 2025, they had the 4th overall pick, and they're in the Super Bowl. They overachieved by every standard. So to me, that should have been the conversation, not whatever anybody else was talking about.